Senega yorodo igwani daga sigile Malike bole kulido surafana sigile Uraja kekele sigido nasongo bongodo Logo nyini ke wabajano ka fero bongodo Katili do muro to Focho
Mama sira denna dinara
Katili do muro to Focho
Mama sira denna dinara Mamiri musoluma Ameboni musolakaro Mamiri musoluma
Sira mori korosi bilipe mo pale ila diala mo nale kito diniyaro ki boy bodi sunaro kilara maya korosi kilara maya idiana kori e mo bayala o gadonalu mabasira mori korosi bilipe mo pale ila diala mo nale kito diniyaro ki boy bodi sunaro Kilara maya korosi, kilara maya ke idiana kori emo bayala. Oh gadonalu, anadiko mabade gadona nadiko. Yanika ke boditi badi sabuye mosoledi.
Tunyalaro, tunya mosole kobe sabuye.
Yanika ke fama badi bora mosolero
tunyalaro tunya musole ko besabuye
anariko baba de godona nariko
mama sira de nadinara
mangule kioro de ne baba de nariko
mama sira de nadinara
mangule kioro de ne nariko
mama sira de nadinara
musolu Wadi dobe mo feitate, sanu mo feitate, ure sanu mo feitate, koni deme mo feitaye, wala danyuma mo feitaye, wasodobe mo feitaye, uru mo sanyuma mo feitaye, niana mo nada, erike nyuma mo feitaye. Ni wara kai kalu ya sanu babola sanu malifeso ni wara moti kalu ya munimbala jeke malifeso ni wara gawo kalu ya be kamarala suko malifeso ela sabarani santo simba sangura la sabarani santo Jinnini santo, simba sangura la jinnini san, ela fugulani santo, simba sangura la lunneti san, konyu masa katala, kakile di yarabini ma, akimatama sabula di ya jamana keso, akoni fe malefeso. Segu kalu ye faraba senele malo malifeso ni wara sikaso kalu ye furubalala nyo malifeso ni wara bamako kalu ye juro ya bala namfolo malifeso ni wara bamako musalo ya sobala mana kwataye en tout cas si jamais Nganinge yuma ba ke koro benna nganinge jugu ko kararo tie nganinge yuma ba ke koro benna bi nganinge jugu ko kararo tie tuya manyi feu tuya manyi tuyele tuya manyi fa here barana kadiyo here kurabora Jamalu koyumante here barana kadiyo here kurabora
Ere nara, ere barana kanyo, ere kurabora.
Mosika na mosi kwa sibiki esekola kema sayala Mosika na mosi dani biki esekola kema sayala Moka na mola maloya Moka na mokorofo Mosika na mosi dani biki esekola kema sayala Juya tumatambelene Here barana kaniyo Here kurabora
Ere nara, ere barana kanyo, ere kurabora.
Mosika na mosi kwa sibiki esekola kema sayala Mosika na mosi bila kasola bila robi kiema sayala Mosika na mola maloya Moka na mokorofo Mosika na mosi bila tonyori jurobi kola masayaku juya tumatambelende here barana kaniyo here kurabora
Ere nara, ere barana kanyo, ere kurabora.
Kanu barana tuyele kanu barana furiyo nara kaniyo nara kaniyo here kurabora here nara here barana kaniyo here kurabora
He kanyo, he kanyo, he kanyo, 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 he kanyo, ere kurabora. He kanyo, he kanyo, 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 he kanyo, ere kurabora. Ere kurabora.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil alamin tantu mazayala Sunnata yemi Nunu soma karambali soma turunama Turamangani kangi jan turamamba Sumbila fa koli abula turuna Sumoro kante Kukubani bantamba Nyeni nyeni ni kamazaya
Ibe jugu ya kela, binu ye jugu ya kela, jugu ya kela, jugu ya bila karamo, ere kurabora. Binu ye jugu ya kela, jugu ya kela, jugu ya bila karamo.
modo feni dumalaye kalila damayaka juya tumatambelene ere barana kaniyo ere kurabora
ere nara ere barana kanyo ere kurabora
follow me modo fate sarakabo ate misikina son fembe modo fate sarakabo alate misikina son fente modo feni dumalaye kalila damayaka juya tumatambelene ere barana kaniyo ere kurabora
kanyo 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 ere kurabora kanyo 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 ere kurabora
Hello, hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hola, hola. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Bon après-midi, tout le monde. My name's Aragia Simwekonde, and I will be moderating the session this afternoon. Welcome to an exciting plenary session on digitization of AI and next gen. You agree with me that the youth today are tech savvy, they are upwardly mobile, and they continue to leapfrog use of digital technologies in sub-Saharan Africa and across the world. And with me, I've got an incredible lineup of speakers who will be leading the change in transforming agricultural practices from knowledge, as well as across multiple disciplines to be able to transform Africa's food systems. So today, we will witness how Africa's brilliant youth are not just participating, but they are pioneering in the digital revolution. They are turning challenges into opportunities and leveraging the very same technology that some of us are afraid to use to enhance productivity, add value across the value chains, and ensure we are a food and nutritiously secure continent. So isn't it amazing, ladies and gentlemen, that we are living in a time where our youth are not only the leaders of tomorrow, but the innovators of today. So to join me, I would like to start with a very rapid fireside chat with a very eminent panel, and allow me to introduce one by one to the stage so that we can kick to this afternoon's conversation. Great. So to start off, I would like to invite Honorable Dr. Mark Bagawe, Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Republic of Rwanda. Welcome to the stage. Awesome. And our next speaker will be Honorable Senator Abubakar Chari, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Federal Government of Nigeria. Welcome. And the third person joining us is none other than Mr. Donald Brown, the Associate Vice President, Department for Country Operations at IFAD. Welcome, Donald. You could be wondering, where are the ladies on this panel? But to join us, Dr. Sandra Milak, please join us, Chief Scientist of the CG. Welcome. And last but not least is Roger Tem, the Director of Digital Economy and Partnerships in Senegal. Welcome. Bienvenue. Testing, great. Awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our panel this afternoon. Our audience is eagerly waiting to learn from you and walk away with some superb nuggets that they can be able to apply in their daily jobs, but also in enabling them to scale the work that they're already doing. To start us off, Honorable Minister, I would like to start with you. You're my neighbor in Rwanda. Being a Ugandan, I would probably be biased. But we would like to understand, what has the Republic of Rwanda been doing in the space of infrastructure development to enable young people participate in this sector?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to start with the disclaimer that I'm not an IT expert, although when I started university, that's actually when IT and this language of AI and technology was not on the table. But I've been very fortunate to live in these times, actually when technology is fast-tracking everything. And so let me go to the issue of infrastructure and what the government has done, particularly to empower the youth. First, let me say that agriculture contributes about 26% to the GDP. And the paradox is, until very recently, it's been driven by aging population. So AI is coming in, technology, infrastructure, as actually a key drive. It's interesting for the young people to go into agriculture today, actually when it's being driven by technology. So I always say it's becoming sexy, for young people. It's becoming attractive. It's not a drudgery, this kind of whole kind of business. You can sit and you've got your gadget and you're controlling everything. So Rwanda has made a tremendous journey in the past 10 years. We have established, first of all, you begin, before you establish physical infrastructure, you begin by capacitating people's knowledge. We are one of the few countries, I think on the continent, that has got a coding academy. So we are generating incredible young people who are driving our digital infrastructure and age, just by building that. We provide a master's program through the Carnegie Mellon University in Rwanda. So these people come there from there, they're actually drivers. So I'm actually starting on capacity building. So these graduates, they are all under over, not only in agriculture, but also in health. They are doing amazing work. So, for example, we used to do a lot of agricultural work, ordering for inputs, for farmers, farmer access to inputs, fertilizer, seeds, was done by hand until a few years ago in 2017. But today, more than 2.8 million farmers are able to register for inputs, access, and sell through a digital system. actually called smart nkunganire. Nkunganire is a Rwanda word meaning subsidy. So they get a subsidy program through a digital platform. And this was designed by no other person but these young Rwandan people. It's actually run within our Rwanda Agricultural Research Institute. Then the application of the inputs, fertilizers, seeds, we're just applying on soils without knowing the status of the soils. But very recently, because of digital technology, we have been able to do satellite imaging, and we now have site-specific recommendations for each space of land. So we have got a digital map, the soil digital map of Rwanda, and therefore today we are not applying those one about fertilizers, PK17, phosphorus 17, potassium 17, and so on. We now blend, we tailor our fertilizer recommendations on the basis of the soil specificities, on the basis of crop specificities, because of having that infrastructure in place. So what we have done as a ministry, we have been able to cascade the government strategy for transformation 2, which starts from 2024 to 2029. So we cascaded into our agricultural strategy, and so digitalization of our pillars is actually digital driven, our programs. Productivity, so when you go across right from planting to fertilizer application, especially for those who are doing precision agriculture in greenhouses, it's all AI driven. That's our purpose. We haven't reached, that's where we want to go. For example, delivery of inputs like cement. We're using drones, and some of them are actually designed, not imported, by Rwandan young scientists, especially when you are delivering pig cement. Advisory, as I've said, now we used to spend a lot of money when you are doing crop performance to estimate the yields we're going to get. So the Department of Statistics would go to the field, spend millions of Rwandan francs trying to assess the yield, expected yield. But now we are actually following the crop performance, crop growth stages using satellite imaging, and so creating a reference memory, which we call machine learning, so that we are able to track the crop growth stages, and then in the future, for the specific crop, we are able to determine the yield even before we have actually got at the time of harvest. So you can actually forecast, and then to help with the forward planning. All that is the work of Rwandan scientists. So without taking a lot of time, let me say that we are also developing what we call the Food System Innovation Hub in Rwanda. This is a catalytic platform where government, the private sector, the academia, development partners converge to co-create solutions to accelerate agricultural transformation. And so we expect this year, sometime by the end of this year, we should be able to launch a GeoHub, an AI-powered platform that will help us to link data sets, and so we're able to predict the precise weather forecasting. So we are able actually to predict the seasonal forecasting for the farmers and for extension officers, and therefore that will help the government to plan ahead and to drive agricultural transformation. So we see that as one of the drivers, one of the infrastructures. And then, of course, using voice USD, that's what the system will help. So we don't see this as a Rwandan product. We want to scale it to be an African system which can be able to link so many young people, as a pipeline to link so many young people across the continent, to share knowledge, partnerships, to drive, to make it access to finance, and even access to markets. So in brief, that's what we're doing, but if I've got time, I can share more.
That's amazing, Honorable, and I do see how Rwanda has been able to convert promise to opportunity, but also create transparency across the value chain in the food systems. It would be great if you could also highlight any early results around how this is impacting production or impacting livelihoods and incomes for young people. Have you seen any early indicators to that result?
Yes, one of the early indicators is that for young people, first of all, where I started, that's where I will end.
Yes.
Agriculture was not attractive for young people. So, but because of the nature of digital revolution, it's attracting young people. And actually, most young people in agriculture, they are not going for this open field, a number of them. They are going for precision agriculture that is AI-driven. In terms of irrigation, they're using AI. When they're applying the fertilizers, when they're applying water. Second, access to finance. They're using these digital platforms to be able to access, to know the different products that are available, reducing agriculture, access to markets. In the past, you would have I used to work for standards. So we used to have a desk where people would come to ask for information of international markets. But now they can access them through these platforms. So I think that is one of the ways that I would say of the benefits. Again, it's created employment for people. In our strategy, we aim to create 1,250,000 jobs in 5 years between 2024 and 2029. That's 250,000 jobs. IT, AI, digital technology is becoming an employment for these young people. And therefore, that is one of the big benefits. And that's direct. Yeah. Then one of the indirect ways is using it as a tool to do agriculture, to improve performance, to reduce waste, and so on.
Wow. Amazing. No, thank you so much. And indeed, young people wouldn't be participating if there's no sustained livelihoods for them. So amazing stuff that we're doing in Rwanda. Moving on, let me bring in Honorable Abubakar, Nigeria. What is the situation in Nigeria around digitalization and AI, and how is that attracting young people?
Well, thank you very much. First, let me say that is a very, very exciting and interesting topic. That is the topic of the times, AI, digitization. But let me just give a brief background of how the agricultural landscape is in Nigeria. First, we have about 42 million households participating in agriculture. We have arable land of about 70 million hectares and utilizing only about 50% of that. And what we are facing currently, of course, like everybody else, is the big monster out there, climate change. You know, that's to do with desertification, flooding, droughts, irregular pattern of rainfalls, unpredictability generally of weather and climate. So use of AI and digital has become imperative. It's not only something that is out of fashion or fad or of the times, but it's something that is very imperative. And I'm happy and glad that we have a very young population that are very, very keen on the AI aspect. We have a huge, huge abundance of young people out there that are utilizing artificial intelligence and digitization. Our population below 30 is 70%. Sorry, below 40 is 70%. Below 30 is 42%. We're a population of 230 million people. We're expected to be 400 million by the year 2050. 2050 is 25 years from today. If you remember, 25 years ago was the turn of the millennium, year 2000. And it just seemed very fresh in our memories when computers were supposed to fail because of the turn of the millennium. Elevators were supposed to crash and all that. So it seemed like it was yesterday. So what it means is 2050 is tomorrow. So if Nigeria is expected to be 400 million by tomorrow, so what are we doing? We'll have to imbibe AI and digitization. AI and digitization would make us increase productivity in terms of yield, because we have a shrinking landmass. Arable landmass is shrinking, even though we have one of the largest arable land. But look at our population. And this population is not going to wait till 2050 to become 400. Every year we grow by 2.1%, 2.4%, something like that, by 5, 6, 7 million people every year, the growth rate. So you could just imagine that in 3 years, we have grown to the population of Senegal, just in a matter of 3 years. Just the growth. I'm not talking about total population. So that is a challenge, but I think we can turn it into an opportunity where we have the vibrant young people coming up. And the difference between 400 and the 230 that we have are yet to be born now, imagine. So it's those that are yet to come.
Yeah.
So by 2050, the under 40 will be maybe 80%, 90% of the population.
Yeah.
So we're looking at digitization in terms of even extension services. We have platforms that you can now use, because we have GSM technology is almost everywhere. In the rural areas, we have WhatsApp, we have all digital platforms. And we also have platforms that you can create and even give advisory in terms of smart climate, smart agriculture, advisory services to our smallholder farmers. And like I said, smallholder farmers are so many that the 80% of the food we eat, it comes from the smallholder farmers. And the average land size is about 0.6 of a hectare.
Yeah.
So how do you reach to those people? And if you're going to go, like the way the extension services used to be one after the other, then you may not be able to achieve that kind of, issue. So Dr. Mark has also mentioned about the use of drones for application and something. We have young people. We have the flying farmer. I'm not sure if he's around. Usually he comes around, Femi Odukoya, who does, he flies drones.
Yes.
Even though I tried to tell him that you should imbibe employ a lot of women to do that, because I can't imagine a 22-year-old healthy adult male flying a drone. So, get more women to do that. So that way
Honorable, I hear it's opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity, and young people in Nigeria are embracing technologies. Is that correct?
Yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Great. So I think that's a very good segue to move to you, Donald, around, over 75% of youth are digitally connected. They are literate. They are mobile savvy. Where do you see the infrastructure and the policy link for these two assets for enabling young people to participate?
Thank you very much for that question. And maybe just stepping a little bit back from the figures you just quoted, because actually for IFAD, we tend to work with youth in some of the more remote rural areas. I like to talk about the first mile. A lot of people talk about the last mile. It's where development begins, not ends. It's where food starts. Yeah. And actually, many of our youth are not digitally connected. Many of them have dropped out of secondary education and don't have university education. So the kind of first challenge or opportunity for us is to ensure that we are providing with opportunities for more digital literacy, for more numeracy, for training in business development, so that they can actually take advantage of digital and AI opportunities. But a starting point for us in a number of African countries around here, and particularly in the policy area, is we're seeing more and more government departments, ministries, developing their own digital data systems, and actually a lack of interoperability between those systems. So a lot of quite siloed systems that are not joined up. So I think the policy issue and what we're trying to help, firstly, government do, is to connect up their systems. So for example, you will see a lot more now of electronic farmer registries, you'll see a lot more of e-voucher schemes, you'll see a lot more schemes with market information, but in different parts of government. So trying to get those connected up into one system, and then that system has access or is usable for the private sector and including, the youth. So I think the first policy challenge is the framework that gives interoperability on the government side and then access there to the private sector and the youth. So in Tanzania, for example, we're working with the government at their request and with FAO and UNCDF to join up their systems. One is joining up the systems, then the second challenge, as we all know, is about the data governance, to that side of things, and then to put that in place. So I think that, my first point is about ensuring that we've got the joining up of government systems that then make it much easier for the private sector to interact and for the youth to be identified and targeted within that side of things. And then secondly, with data governance. The other policy issue, I think, when we come to digital and AI, is it very often happens, the policy arena very often happens without youth involved. So you find quite a lot of the policies do not think about the specific requirements for youth. And so that's what we're also trying to do there, is to actually ensure that and facilitate dialogues that get youth voice within these new policy development. And particularly in areas like digital and AI, where, as we've heard so much in the last few days, the youth are very active, have got a lot to say, in some ways are far more ahead of ourselves, including in government, and yet we are trying to create policies and governance for people that are way ahead of us. So we need them in the system. And so that's what I would say would be kind of my second issue around the policy side of things.
No, awesome. Thank you very much for bringing that reality around the difference between rural youth and urban youth, or even semi-urban youth. Yeah, so that brings in a lot of inclusion. So, Dr. Sandra, I think you come in at the right point, because as the chief scientist, you are sitting at the center of technologies. We are talking about digitalization, but the reports we've got indicate that most, for example, farmers are adopting just under 30% of available technologies on the shelves. Where do you see the opportunity for AI and digitization in reducing the distance between the available technology, adoption, access, and affordability?
Thank you so much for the question. I think it's a very, very important question. And good afternoon to everybody. Thanks for coming today. I will start with the challenge that we have and how we address this challenge. And then I'll talk a little bit about how technology plays into it. And I like to think that we collectively here have a very important role in addressing food security for the continent. And I'll give a few figures to you. So today, the continent imports more than $6 billion in rice. more than $5 billion in wheat. Just two examples. And I'm thinking, every time that we spend $1 send out to bring food, it means that is one less dollar that we invest in this continent. So how do then AI help to address this? And I think I'm going to bring three areas that I think are very critical for that. The first one, our Honorable Minister of Nigeria already mentioned, is like productivity, right? I mean, very important. We do need more productivity in the continent of Africa. And I think AI can really help, for instance, with advisory service in agronomy. Before, you need to have extensionists to get sort of access to these technologies and improve your, how you cultivate. Today, you can get, with your mobiles, you can get access to this information. But of course, you need to be able to actually have information that is relevant for the continent of Africa. And in CGIAR, that's sort of, we see our role, how we actually bring this relevant information for the continent. For example, we are developing a product now that is called Agri-LLM. It's advisory, agronomy advisory service that we take 45,000 of our open access publications and actually use our scientists, our agronomists on the ground to train this thing. So, I mean, this is just one example. We have Clean Mob as well, another advisory climate service that can help. But this is the first area. The second area is really linking to markets. So I think we have a really good opportunity to use these technologies, the digital technologies, AI included, to understand where the markets are. Because in reality, even if we produce enough of the wheat and the rice in this continent, we will have to move this grain within the continent. How we do that? And I think AI can really play a very important role into that. And the third one is one that worries me, and because this is about the youth, and it's who is going to produce food for this continent is the next generation. And how we make sure that as the current generation of farmers retire, from their jobs, that we attract the youth to actually produce the food we need. And for me, the technology, because this is the generation of mobiles, this is the generation of internet, the connectivity, I do believe the AI is going to play a very important role for this generation to actually be attractive to farming. Tools, whether these are new tools like drones, these will really make agriculture a much better, more attractive business, if you will, for the next generation to partake. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Roger, you have the toughest job. I'm going to invite you in to probably draw all of these things together. I think what I've been hearing is access, affordability, young people are embracing this. How is the government of Senegal tapping into this opportunity to actually create solutions that are serving our food systems for young people?
Alors, bonjour à tous et bienvenue au Sénégal. Et j'espère que la teranga sénégalaise est au rendez-vous. Vous êtes bien accueillis, malheureusement par la pluie et ses impacts. Mais je vous souhaite à toutes et à tous de passer un séjour très agréable au Sénégal. Alors, le président de la République, son Excellence Bassirou Diomaye Faye, l'avait rappelé. Le défi n'est pas technique au Sénégal. Les jeunes savent faire avec Internet, avec le numérique, avec les dispositifs numériques. La preuve, des fois, nos enfants de 5 ans débloquent nos téléphones en un claquement de doigts. Ils savent faire la technique. Souvent, ils savent même mieux faire que nous qui portons les politiques publiques. Le sujet que nous avons au Sénégal, c'était d'élever au rang de priorité nationale l'agriculture numérique. 60% des Sénégalais vivent indirectement ou directement avec l'agriculture, et pourtant, la contribution de ce sectoriel est que de 15%. La moyenne mondiale est entre 6,7 et 7%. Donc ça va, on est en deçà, mais c'est encore très très faible. Cela veut dire quoi? Cela veut dire que la main-d'œuvre au Sénégal est nombreuse, mais la productivité est faible. Ça veut dire qu'on a une jeunesse. L'âge médian au Sénégal, c'est 19 ans. On a une belle jeunesse, des bras très solides, mais nous n'avons pas de productivité. Donc le premier défi que nous avons au Sénégal, c'est de créer un cadre incitatif qui fait que les jeunes aujourd'hui ont accès au foncier, ils sont financés, ils ont accès à la formation digitale et enfin, ils ont des incitations fiscales. Il faut être pragmatique. Les jeunes s'intéressent à l'agriculture parce que c'est rentable. Ils s'intéressent à l'agriculture parce que via Internet, ils voient tous les cas d'usage. Le ministre Mabouba Diagne, ministre de l'Agriculture, le rappelait. Le Sénégal importe 1,4 milliard de dollars de produits. C'est un vivier extraordinaire. Donc l'agriculture, les jeunes s'y intéressent parce que d'abord, c'est du business qui fonctionne. Donc, en résumé, le premier défi politique que nous avons, c'est de créer une génération d'agro-entrepreneurs qui utilisent le numérique comme accélérateur. Ensuite, il faut parler d'une loi qu'on a votée en 2020 ici au Sénégal qui s'appelle la Startup Act. L'objectif de cette loi qu'on va opérationnaliser dans les semaines qui viennent, c'est de créer justement ce cadre d'incitant qui fait que le jeune n'a pas à stresser pour sa trésorerie. Qui fait que le jeune est assisté par des sachants qui viennent de l'international ou en local au Sénégal. Qui fait qu'il y a un fonds de fonds qui va être levé. Il y aura un closing de 30 millions de dollars d'ici fin d'année. On vise 300 millions de dollars sur 3 ans. Qui va venir doper l'écosystème entrepreneurial dans l'agriculture afin qu'ils puissent justement disposer d'équipements et aussi de moyens tech qui leur permettent de vivre, de vendre un peu plus dans le temps. Le dernier défi que nous avons, nous, c'est l'échange entre pays africains. Je pense que la ZLECAf a été mise en place pour faciliter cet échange. Nous le savons, nous arrivons à produire, mais nous n'arrivons pas à vendre. Parce qu'il y a une chaîne de valeur à mettre en place. La chaîne de froid, les logistiques, l'infrastructure, etc., qui n'est pas encore mise en place. Donc aujourd'hui, il va falloir que les États s'engagent fermement à ce qu'un producteur qui se trouve au Rwanda puisse vendre au Sénégal. Qu'un producteur qui se trouve au Sénégal puisse vendre en Côte d'Ivoire. Et ça se fera que grâce au numérique. Parce que les pays s'engageraient à créer un cadre incitatif afin que ces plateformes numériques puissent être opérationnalisables dans les pays. Une plateforme dans laquelle l'agriculteur se connecte, expose ses produits et un Ivoirien l'achète et vice-versa. L'infrastructure, il faut qu'on en parle parce que c'est vrai que ces derniers jours, on a beaucoup parlé de drones, d'intelligence artificielle, c'est très séduisant. Mais le ministre Alioune Sall, ministre de la Communication que je représente aujourd'hui, le rappelait. Il y a des prérequis. Il y a 2 prérequis. L'accès à l'électricité et l'accès à la connectivité. Très souvent dans les zones agricoles, l'électricité n'y arrive pas. Très souvent dans les zones agricoles, on ne capte pas la 4G. Sans ces prérequis, peu importe le cas d'usage qu'on va développer ou que le jeune va développer, ça ne fonctionnera pas. Donc en termes d'infrastructure également, il y a un travail à faire et c'est justement ça, c'est ce séquentiel que nous retrouverons dans la vision Sénégal 2050 portée par le président de la République. Nous, dans le secteur numérique, nous sommes conscients qu'au niveau des zones blanches, donc les zones blanches, c'est les zones qui ne sont pas bien desservies par Internet, qu'on ne capte pas bien. Nous, au niveau du ministère, nous avons, avec le FDSU, qui est le Fonds de développement universel, l'accès aux télécoms, au réseau, nous allons couvrir ces zones blanches afin de favoriser l'accès justement à Internet. Il y a un sujet qu'on oublie également, qui est une belle opportunité, c'est que l'agriculteur qui se trouve au fin fond du Sénégal doit pouvoir utiliser des smartphones compatibles avec 5G. Mais je trouve que ces smartphones sont trop chers pour l'agriculteur. Son pouvoir d'achat ne lui permet pas d'avoir la dernière iPhone 16 qui est compatible avec la 5G. Donc ça sert à quoi de déployer la 5G si on n'a pas le dispositif hardware qui permet de l'utiliser? Raison pour laquelle nous avons lancé les Digital Factory un peu partout au Sénégal avec des unités d'assemblage qui nous permettent d'assembler des tablettes, des téléphones à moindre coût. Est-ce que vous voyez? Donc c'est ce séquentiel-là que vous retrouverez dans ce qu'on appelle, nous, le New Deal technologique, qui est la feuille de route du numérique de l'État du Sénégal, que je vous inviterai peut-être à lire, parcourir. Je vous remercie.
Wow, no, thank you very, very much. Yes, yes, thank you very much. I think, ladies and gentlemen, you agree with me that the conversations here were conversation starters. I think this is not a topic we can complete in 30, 40 minutes, but the next panel will now be going from, what industry champions are doing to actually the actual practice. And what I really had is that indeed AI and digitization is an opportunity. The infrastructure, we are at the starting phase of ensuring we've got sufficient infrastructure, but the journey is happening and the young people are leading these conversations with the technologies. So I really leave this panel with a lot of hope that indeed we can be able to transform our agri-food systems, because the challenges of production, value addition from farm to waste now have opportunities with digitalization and AI. Thank you very much, this panel. Please give a rousing applause to this panel for a fantastic. All right, so moving on, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to please join me in welcoming the next panel that will be discussing the actual digital technologies through innovative solutions that young people have actually created. And to kickstart us, please join me in welcoming the Senior Vice President for Haifa International, Adesuwa Ifendi. And our next speaker will be Mr. Benjamin Kwasi Adama, the Advisor, Agriculture and Fisheries, Trade Policy for the Commonwealth. All right. To join this panel, the third speaker we have is the co-founder of Chip Chip Inc. Ethiopia, Mr. Brooke. Where's the energy in the room? Welcome, welcome, Brooke, welcome. And last but not least is the founder of Soko Kiji, Mr. Benson Wando. Welcome, Benson. So it will be very difficult. I need to be able to. Okay. Great. I think to discuss the second panel, we really got a very great panel that's going to walk us through the actual practice, yeah? The first panel was really laying the ground for your conversations. And I wanted to start with Biruk. Yeah, let us start with you. You are the founder of Chip Chip Inc., right? And you've been in the dungeons trying to actually use technologies to solution for the opportunity you see in the agri-food sector. Tell us a little bit about what you do, you know, what Chip Chip is, and what are the most pressing barriers and how you've been able to overcome them with Chip Chip.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Bring it closer, yeah.
Now it's good?
Awesome, awesome,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm Brooke. I'm co-founder and marketing officer for Chip Chip. So Chip Chip is basically a digital platform that connects farmers with consumer with a group buying model. So people will make a group in the app, and they will try to gather and order products, and they get bulk price for their order. So it make it easy for them to order. At the same time, they get the best price in the town. So we try to do that inside our platform. Yeah, that's basically Chip Chip, and I believe that from my perspective, I think the biggest barriers I would say is one is access to affordable digital devices. The second is internet connections, and also electricity, I would say. And the second one is the trust and adaptability, the usability of these platforms. So mostly when we build digital platforms, we take it from other countries or we build it by ourselves, but it's not like well optimized for the farmers, for the user itself. So it is new for them, so they will not use it. At the end, it's great platform, but they will not use it. So I will say these are the two things that are biggest barriers. And on Chip Chip, so we connect farmers with the consumers with these platforms. So we want two of the stakeholders use our digital platforms well. So we seen these problems every day. So whenever we go to the countryside, the farmers, they will not have the devices. They will have issue on the internet, as well as they will not use the app because they even fear the app for you. So we have to make it in their language, how they interact, make it easy for them, not complex for them. So I believe that making digital solution is not big, but make it more well optimized for the users. So that will make it big, and with infrastructures, with the financing, we can make the farmers be part of this digital food economy. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, excellent. So I will then move, because you have a marketplace and you actually have validated some of the conversations we had in the fireside chat where infrastructure is a limiting, barrier for you, but also affordability, so the technology as well, and which is really a very good point, which the first panel spoke about. But let me bring Benson in now to also try and help us understand what does Soko Kiji do and how do you use it to empower youth to use your technology?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Benson. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Soko Kijiji. Soko Kijiji, I come from Kenya, so Soko means market, Kijiji means village, and was born during the COVID period. So when markets were shut down and people restricted movement to go into the market, I saw an opportunity and I used technology. I did my first tweet that I would supply groceries to homes. And now up to date, we have already done about 15 million orders supplied across Nairobi and Mombasa. We have also been able to empower over 3,000 small-scale women traders and also created job opportunities, permanent jobs to 50 young people that you're working with and 30 cashiers that you're working with. And to your question about how we are creating jobs for young people across the value chain, one of the things that we're doing, at the market level, we have what we call the market clerks. So we have young people who go around the markets collecting the orders, because what we have done ourselves is we have built a digital ecosystem that brings together social platforms, e-commerce platforms, so that we are able to aggregate as many orders from clients. So we have market clerks who go around collecting the orders. We have packers who are within our place of packaging. Also, we have riders who go out doing the deliveries as well around the different cities, that is Nairobi and Mombasa. The other bit is that we also have been able to create job opportunities for developers. So we have guys who are doing developers developing our different applications as well. The call center, because we have a number of people who would be calling in for their orders or inquiring on a number of things. So we have also been able now to create that employment. And the beauty is that, like what Chip is doing as well, we have now done it an end-to-end solution, because on one hand, we have been able to aggregate over 3,000 small-scale traders in open-air markets who also need supply for goods. And we all know that sometimes accessing the goods is a bit difficult. So we are also working with farmers, whereby now the farmers themselves grow stuff, and as guys we supply to the small-scale women traders across. And with that, we have been able to create jobs. Of course, the young farmers, the guys who are growing the commodities for us, because we already have a market, we are a marketplace. And also, we have young people who are doing the packaging and the sorting at the farm level. We have a number of vehicles that go around farms collecting products from farmers as well. And the other beauty is that based on that, we have also been able to create an opportunity for agronomists who go around also trying now to ensure that we get quality. So in a nutshell, that's how Soko Kijiji has been making impact. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Awesome, great. Again, traceability, and it's great to hear that you're really creating jobs for young people as well. So clearly, agriculture has become sexy, if that's quote.
I wouldn't call it sexy because it was not meant to be sexy in the first place.
Yeah, it's hard work, yeah.
It's hard work, it's real job.
Yes.
So yeah, we have to try and not call it sexy, but actually to call it the real job, because it's a real job, it's a full-time job. Yeah.
Creating meaningful work, excellent. No, thank you very much for that. And let me now bring in Adesua, because you are at the forefront of helping young people actually use technologies to solution. Can you share with us the experience that you have had in enabling that ecosystem to actually work for young people?
Yeah, thank you. So I would say right about 2020, 2021, we began that journey because of what happened in COVID, to really lean into what the implications of lack of connectivity and access to technology means for farmers and agriculture. We're also calculating the losses to investments made over the years just because the world shut down. And it became very evident that we had to lean into this space of technology, enabling farmers to leapfrog and also driving resilience in agriculture. So that was when we set up the program that we all now know as AYUTE, which is Agriculture, Youth and Technology. And we started by doing a research to find out how many young Africans across about 13 countries are actually connected with technology, the challenges they face, the reason why they will or will not work in agriculture. And all of that data enabled us to be able to set up a program that looked at two ways of catalyzing youth into agriculture, right? The first one was by providing grants for startup stage and growth stage innovators, enabling us to test at country level where those ideas are, knowing that those youth are less likely to attract the 1% that is coming to agtech in Africa today. But we also looked at growth stage, and those young people had already tested their innovation, were ready to take it to scale, needed to reach more farmers, and we could therefore use our network of farmers that we've worked with in Africa for over 50 years as a way of co-creating, but but also providing value points for them. So they could work with those farmers, test it out, get a clear understanding of what can and cannot work, and then begin to scale their innovation. But the other thing we thought was very important was to bring these issues to the front burner for organizations, to share the stories of these innovators, their journey, and to also bring the complexity of agriculture to everyone, because no one organization can carry this burden. Now, between then and now, Heifer has invested over $10 million, both as revolving, recoverable grants, but different various types of instruments. And we've unlocked to date more than 3 times what we've put into this program in some of the innovators that we've invested in. What we've seen so far is over 3.5 million farmers reached by these innovators across the different spaces where they've worked, and creating about 23,000 jobs. Now, in 4 years, if you think about that and one organization, it just tells you that there's something wrong in how we are connecting the dots between what needs to happen with technology in agriculture and the reality of poor infrastructure in that sector. As we said this morning and yesterday, we've all heard the numbers of agriculture in Africa. Today, Africa has the largest arable land that is not yet cultivated, so that is potential. We are also having the lowest penetration of tractorization and lowest productivity per hectare. Those two things staying next to each other. At the same time, it is said that our digital economy in Africa will be what maybe by the end of this year, close to about $170 billion. And by 2050, that can grow to over $700 billion. With a continent with the youngest population, of course, your digital economy will be the strongest by 2050. But agriculture, unfortunately, is deprived of getting the benefits of that digital economy. So where is this mismatch, where the potential is there, but we don't have the technology to penetrate to the last mile? And we've heard the 2 speakers talk about it, right? There's a lack of digital infrastructure. And it's not just the internet itself. It's also the skills. It's also the know-hows. It's also the understanding of what happens at the last mile with a layer of digital illiteracy, as well as, literacy levels being very low at their cultural footprint. But also a lack of understanding of the nuance of complexity from community to community, crop value chain to crop value chain, country to country. How do you build and standardize? Whereas when we are used to bringing in technology, what we want to do is to cut, paste, standardize, and scale. Unfortunately, our last mile or our first mile is not compatible with that kind of work. So what have our youth done? I think that whilst this sounds like very, depressing news, the young Africans have gone in between the cracks to figure out how to make this work. And most of the stories you hear are about young Africans understanding that SMS text messaging is the best way to scale things at the last mile with smallholder farmers, 1. 2, what I call human infrastructure. Right now, smallholder farmers are not going to be using digital innovation or AI for themselves. However, young Africans who are digitally savvy can become the bridge by building that infrastructure. There are many young companies we've supported, and I think one of them is here today, Extension Africa, and a few others, DigiCal. And what they're doing is building young people with the right technology platform to support and handhold farmers to ensure that whilst we figure out the technology infrastructure, we can actually begin to deliver services today. And we're talking about AI, right? We're talking about precision agriculture. I mean, this is the no-brainer in other continents. But unfortunately today, soil testing is almost non-accessible to smallholder farmers, right? Precision agriculture is something we think is just out there in the future. However, there are young people today who are testing out drone technology. One of the finalists of the Ayute competition this year is actually a young person driving precision agriculture, trying to increase the penetration and use of aerial use of digital area pictures to drive how well we understand and we plan with precision agriculture. So I do think that the future is here, and it's sitting with young people who are ready to break their backs to figure it out. What we need to do now is to bring the right investment and the right systems to support that and handshake what's going on already.
Oh, no, thank you so much. I love the passion and fantastic work that you're doing to really enable young people to prove the concepts that they're doing with the first loss investments that you're giving. But I think you do mention a point around infrastructure not being ready. And I would like to go back to Benson and ask, from a policy enablement perspective, where do you see the opportunity to bridge infrastructure from both a public sector and a private sector perspective? So what would you need to scale your solution beyond the current farmers that you're reaching, for example?
Well, of course, I would say one is the funding aspect of it.
Funding?
Yeah, and by funding, I'd mean like tangible funding, tangible capital. Yeah, because again, maybe talking about the development sector, sometimes they would give you funding, but it's not enough funding for you to be able to grow. So maybe probably would be not very much to grow. So if you're able to give tangible funding, that is something that you can be able to grow. For example, in terms of building the platforms or the systems. The other bit is whereby I would say the patience capital that comes with it, that you're able to provide us with long-term patience capital. I know most of us, we are trying to do raising funds, Series A, Series B, diluting our businesses with equity and debt. Sometimes you borrow in dollars.
Yes,
They expect you to pay back in dollars, but I'm trading in Kenya shillings. So again, also that will affect me because in terms of how the currency is changing. So those are some of the things that I would also say. But also finding local investors who understand the local economy. And I'm happy because I think our government in Kenya has been trying to do that through the Nairobi Stock Exchange, opening it up, so that the local investors can also be able now to invest in our businesses. That's what I would say in terms of ensuring that also is there. The other bit I would say is predictable taxing.
Predictable?
Taxation.
Taxation.
Yeah,
Okay.
because sometimes you, in most of the African countries, it's difficult for us to predict. Today you're paying this, the other day you're paying this. That has also been able to kill us. And maybe even also, if also the government could also probably give some leeway to young people in terms of when you start a business, you don't have to pay tax for a period of time. So at least we're able to build traction for our businesses as we create employment. That is also something that would really accelerate our growth.
Awesome. No, thank you very much. Biru, could you take the same question? You know, what major constraints do you have that you think could be solved from either a policy conversation or a private sector intervention?
So I would say, I think I share the same thing with my friend. I would say that, and on the policy side, I think it is the best timing for us, for the young people, that we need resource, but at the same time we need the medium, the environment to play there. I think we need attention because it will help us also to get more partnership, I would say, at this time. Because when I see what is happening before 4 years or 5 years, to build one thing, it will take you like a big resource. I involve mostly on the digital products, so you will need a lot of developers, a lot of things, but at this time, with AI also, it helps you to test things very fast. But you need a ground or a medium to test that thing. And you cannot just go out and test something, but you need support to do that. And I think for us, I think the generation can adapt things so fastly, so we can learn and test things, I would say. But for the bigger companies or bigger government companies, it's hard to change new things, to adapt new things. But for us, we might be small, at the same time easy to adapt, so it's, if we get that, the playground, we can create a big impact, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, No, excellent. So I think probably the best time for you to come in at the SUA, because I think what I hear Benson and Brooke talking about is, the ability for them to test and as well scale, yeah, because it's technology, it's changing very fast. So they need capital that allows them to keep that line of new product development while at the same time going to the market. What has been your experience in terms of enabling young entrepreneurs in spaces like those, whether in your current workplace or whether in the sector? What are you seeing as the opportunity?
I think that what we've done as Heifer through our program in IUT is to not just think that Heifer alone can do this, but understanding what ecosystem partners we need to bring together to do this. So we've had opportunities, for example, like in Rwanda recently, where we're supporting the scale of a particular innovation around access to tractors and access to tractor financing. The government and private sector and local financial institutions, along with HEFA bringing in catalytic grant, we're able to partner together to design that financing instrument that allowed the ecosystem to learn and to adapt. I think what my colleagues here on the panel have said, I think is really key to lean into, is that if the youth are the digital economy of the continent, we should be able to create policies that provide some protection for them to innovate in the first mile that is so challenging. When it comes to setting up businesses, when it comes to providing, tax breaks and all of that, there is a real business case for that to be provided in addition to what is being done. So as governments partner with private sector, so there are lots of private sector players also. From some of our examples, we've seen private sector players who have actually gained a lot through the technology built by youth to even move some of their products to the last mile using digital platforms to provide access to inputs to farmers in the last mile. So I think everyone has a stake in supporting these innovators to carry what they need to carry. The innovators in this space, unfortunately, don't just focus on their own innovation. They have to focus on the ecosystem that doesn't exist. They have to think about building skills where skills don't exist. And so I think that this load that eventually causes them not to be attractive, actually, to investors need to be borne not just by the innovators alone. I think every one of us in the ecosystem can play a part.
Awesome. Now, so I'm going to give each of you, Benson and Baruch, a 1 minute to pitch why people should invest in your business, right? Because in the room, we've got quite a number of investors, but also online, there are people who would be looking to make such investments in your business. So never waste a good opportunity, they say. So if you were to pitch for people to invest, because I heard you say you're open to equity, you're open to debt, you're also looking for patient capital, in 1 minute, tell us why, starting with you, Benson, why we should invest, support you in building your business in Soko-Kiji.
Thank you very much. I would start by saying that the current consumer is changing, and you're having more consumers who are ordering online. The e-commerce market in Africa is also growing, and that's one of the reasons why you need to invest in us. The other bit is that in every city across Africa, there's always an open-air market. So by working with us, you'll be able to enable thousands of small-scale women traders who would actually have been left out from the e-commerce trade. So you'll be able to create employment for them and keep the markets going. And as I usually say, Africa's stories have always been around the market. The supermarkets and the hypermarkets are foreign concept. So if you build around who we are and what we have, we'll be creating employment. And the good thing is that we already have a market. So when they're offering an end-to-end solution from farm to market to consumer. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you. Next to you, Baruch.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say for us, so our plan is to be the heart and the vein of African trade. So I think if you invest, you will invest in us as a team. So us, it's been like 6 years. We are trying to build something that We are trying to change things. We are trying to learn at the same time, adjusting what is there, the problem. So our team, since we released Chip Chip, it's like 17 months. We are the fastest growing company in Africa, I would say.
Wow.
In the e-commerce. So now we are delivering around 15,000 products daily. And now still we are growing our products from different area of the farmers to the consumers directly. So our team is very flexible and changing to the dynamics, at the same time helping the community. So I believe if you invest in us, you will invest on the African trade future, I would say, yeah.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. And a big round to both. Thank you. And I just saw one last minute for you, hearing from the two entrepreneurs and the opportunity of the work that you're doing. What last thoughts do you have for us?
I think the last thoughts is that the big problems we've been going around in circles around in Africa for a very long time, the solutions are being pulled together by youth every day. We need to pay attention to what they're saying, bring them to the seat at the table, and then begin to lean in to see how we can crowd in innovative financing and patient capital to help them go on that journey.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think you agree with me that our panel has been able to actually help us connect potential to opportunity. And the young people are at the center of this using technologies. So therefore, for those of you that are out there that are looking for profitable, growing businesses, we've got examples of this on the stage. And for those of you that are still on the sidelines, because we do have laggards as well with technology, here are examples of what true excellence can look like on the continent. Thank you very much for joining us on this panel, and all the best with scaling your businesses. And thank you. All right. We are almost at the end. Please keep with us. The next two topics are the most interesting, because as you heard from the first panel, infrastructure, policy, and incentives must be present. The young people have shown us they are already daring and investing, but we need to be able to support them with the right infrastructure and capital. And our next panel will actually be discussing resource mobilization. Can we actually attract the right capital to the sector using technologies? And to take us through this, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our first speaker, the digital agriculture specialist from the World Bank, Ms. Beryl Agengo. Do we have? Excellent. The next first speaker, seeing that the first one is not here, is the regional head for Europe, Middle East, and Africa for Crop Science Division. Please welcome Mr. James Hartman. And to join Hartman is Ms. Fatima Habi Mariko, who is the Senior Manager, ID Insight, or Indisight. Last but not not least, is Mr. Maram Kairi, the Director, Senegalese Spatial Agency. I love the audience. Great. All right, we'll proceed with our
Yes.
Awesome. So our next topic, I'm sure you've seen from the previous speakers, is a very pertinent topic about can we actually mobilize the right resources that are patient enough to allow our entrepreneurs build as we fly, technically, right? And to start us off, I think I would like to invite you, Jean, to help us understand how are you advancing climate smart digital farming and how are you resourcing those technologies?
Great question, Femi. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me at the panel. Perhaps just very quick background. I represent Bayer. We are very, very vested in health and nutrition with the mission Health for All, Hunger for None, and have committed to improve livelihoods for smallholders until 2030 from now roughly 10 to 22 million in Africa. No? And now coming to your question, it's actually multifold in terms of how we are vested in it and also how we see our role as a key part in the value chain. First of all, of course, as part of your own portfolio offerings, you need to have basically digital capabilities. So our key portfolio is around climate resilient seeds, predominantly corn, which is of course very, very impactful, important in Africa. It's sustainable crop protection, but we've also got our own digital capabilities to round off complete the customer experience. No? And if you talk about digital capabilities, it's about knowledge dissemination. How can we provide agronomy, digital agronomy to the farmers? It's about anti-counterfeit proof points of our portfolio, and it's also about market linkage, weather insights, and so on. But of course, and that was mentioned earlier on, it's very much about being impactful and pointed towards specific locations. No? So you naturally have in diverse Africa the element of limitation. And if you then look at scalability, you immediately look at partnerships and ecosystems to see how can others potentially add value. So that's the one part, our own play in digital. The second part, and I think Benson and Brooke have left, no, they both are still over here. It's our role as how could we provide guidance and leadership, being vested in agriculture and also being active for many, many years. So for example, we are partner of the Generation Africa Fellowship Program, where we provide mentorship, leadership to digital startups. And I personally have enjoyed that very, very much from various angles. On the one hand side, how can you guide and how can you provide leadership in the area of financing support, in the area of scale up, in the area of ecosystem support, but also in terms of reverse mentoring, how can a big corporation like Bayer continuously learn from digital startups, and where could we benefit from capabilities which both of you, Brooke and Benson, have, for example. And then the third element, and earlier on, our colleague here, Adesua, you spoke about the last mile. It's about the complete offering. I think digital on its own is not going to solve the problem of food security and the problem of of reach in Africa. It's a massive enabler, and it's of course making agriculture also more attractive to the next generation. But ultimately, it's about everybody having a role to play, and also one could almost say brick and mortar business still being super important and valuable, because ultimately it's about bringing the inputs to the farmer, bringing the machinery to the farmer, bringing the seeds to the farmer and fertilizer. So it's not necessarily that standalone digital will be solving all the problems. It's more, how can everybody play its role? And there we see a strong commitment from our side. No?
Well, awesome. Thank you very much. I'll probably just come back to two of the areas you spoke about, primarily reverse mentoring, because I think many young people have actually said there is a gap between the ideation and actual application. And Bayer being one of those institutions that has been in this for the longest, I think you've got the advantage of first mover, where you've built that capability over time. Are you able to share a practical example on how you do that for now young startups that you work with across multiple countries?
Yeah, look, two angles to it. The one is the reverse mentoring with external startups, where it's really about, and it was interesting to hear you both early on, where you talked about the next step. How do I get to the next round of financing, and how do I actually then crack the code of multiplication and scalability, which is super, super important. And earlier on, I think the Ag Minister from Nigeria spoke about the flying farmer from Nigeria, the drones. That was one of those startups where we supported in the mentorship program. Okay. Now, what we do also in addition is, of course, building our own digital capabilities as a company, where we almost like incubate new business models in specific geographies. Like, for example, we did that in Ghana, where we also look at, well, what advisory board support could a company provide, could we provide to our internal startup, where we also look at external experts, no? Because we recognize that it's not necessarily all about our own knowledge, all about insights. It's how do you look at the respective capabilities across. So it's a little bit in both directions.
Oh, okay. No, that is amazing, and thank you for sharing that. And certainly they keenly listened to some of the ideas you shared. So let us move on to Berlin. Berlin, right?
No, Fatim.
Oh, Fatim, sorry, yeah. You have been, I think the question we have here is around what funding strategies have been most effective in enabling youth-led digital agriculture solution to scale sustainably?
Yeah, thank you. So before starting, I will start by explaining about our work at ID Insight, so people can also understand the background of my answers. At ID Insight, we work to help our partners in the social sector to use data and evidence for the fighting poverty. So these include helping them to overcome three important barriers to impact, which are figure out what works, learn and improve, and reach and operate at scale. So to figure out what works, we help them with solutions like impact evaluations. To learn and improve, we also help them building monitoring and evaluation systems. And for reach and operate at scale, we help them with AI tools to streamline the work. So to answer the question about talking about scaling youth-led digital agriculture, is really about empowering a new generation to feed the future. We have to first deconstruct the problem. As mentioned by the previous founders here, I think the traditional finance often fail young agripreneurs. They usually lack collateral to access the formal credit systems because they lack credit history and they cannot easily have finance with the conventional lenders. They are seen as high risk because of the type of clients they have, which may be smallholder farmers. As mentioned by the previous Nigeria Ministry of Agriculture, 80% of the food is produced by smallholder farmers, which means that they are the most client available. So, in fact, about 75% of agri-SMEs report insufficient access to finance, leaving a sector-wide annual gap of roughly 65 billion US dollar. Digital agriculture solution targeting smallholder farmers face even greater challenges because farmers often considered not bankable and donor funding is limited. Blended finance is emerging as a compromising approach to address that. This means that we still need to have grants and subsidiaries that can help de-risk early stage solutions so they can try to develop ideas without the burden of debt. This is not enough, unfortunately, because as mentioned also earlier by the founders, those type of fundings are usually really small fundings and they cannot help them scale. So this needs to be also complemented by other type of financing. And for that, we have microfinance institutions that can be a good alternative. But for that, they really need to reassess a little bit the way the solutions are designed to be more accessible for the digital agricultural solutions founders. For that, we have seen in the market the use of other type of data to assess collateral. For example, some solutions try to use satellite images to assess to have collateral data. And they also need to try to leverage mobile money for delivery because sometimes distance and access can be also a barrier to access this type of financing. Research provides a few approaches for funding and scaling. Our research at ID Insight, funded by IDRC, shows that the most effective solutions are not purely digital. The phygital model combining technology and on-the-ground support is key. So hybrid approaches build trust, provide hands-on training, and ensure solutions are grounded in local realities, which is really important to scale. Evidence from GSMA highlight also that female and local field agents significantly improve uptake of digital solutions, among smallholder farmers especially. A complementary strategy will be also for digital agricultural solution to pivot to B2B2C models. So selling their solution to insurers, financial institutions, and large buyers that can also redirect their solution to the smallholder farmers can be another solution to help them scale because those type of clients are more seen like are strong and bankable people that can help them gather more funding. So successful examples include Tolbi here in Senegal, which is an AI and satellite imagery with low-tech delivery. So they use AI and satellite imagery to gather data, but those information are provided to the smallholder farmers via SMS or voice-based messages, so which is really simple. Because as mentioned with a lot of people before, we necessarily don't have the infrastructure for high-tech solutions. And also, there is the barrier of knowledge and digital literacy. So it's really important to translate the high-tech solutions with drones, AI, to really low-tech solution that can speak to the smallholder farmers more easily. So we also have AgroMo, which helps farmers create digital transaction history, improving access to loan and insurance, using female agents to pilot increased trust and adoption, which is really important on the ground. And Oko Finance, which provides satellite-based crop insurance. They have started their business targeting the smallholder farmers first, but then they have moved and now are working with private sector like Orange and other enterprises to ensure that they will have a product that can scale easily.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. So clearly, I think this field is, thank you. A round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I would like to come back to you, Jens, on the issue of climate smart digital farming. Because, you know, with the climate shocks that we have, and also as part of de-risking the sector, the more we have farmers adopt climate smart technologies, the lower we reduce the risk of the sector and the higher the interest in financing and other solutions. What experience have you had around uptake of climate smart technologies, and what insights can you share with us to, you know, harness that and scale those technologies more faster?
Great point. Now, what I've mentioned before is probably still very, very relevant, that in itself, climate smart agriculture will not be solved through digital alone. Now you need to look at the entire basket of solutions. It starts with climate resilient seeds, for example, and goes through the whole agronomy cycle, or the agronomy excellence you can provide to farmers to become climate smarter in their farming operations. Of course, digital then plays that additional, very critical enabler to bring that additional relevant element to it. And the challenge there, which we have also been experienced, is that you need to have that respective local relevance. No? If you want to provide additional capability to farmer, you need to be specific for his location, for his crop, for his situation. And that's very often then the hindrance when you look at scalability of digital solutions. No? So we see climate smart agriculture through digital, of course, developing in a big way in developed markets. For example, in North America, where you talk about corn, where you talk about thousands and thousands of acres of simple farming type, bigger farms where it's easier to get that uptake also through the equipment and machinery. Over here, it's more the challenge. And as I said, you need to start then initially with foundational capabilities such as, how can I give my farmer a weather alert? Yeah, how can I, for example, tell the farmer, look, if you intend to plant your corn, you better don't do it in the next 3 to 4 days, because the climatic environment is going to be the challenge. You can, in terms of climate smart agriculture, of course, then have further connectivity around when do you put the best irrigation in if you have a farmer who's into irrigation. But it's much more fundamental at the moment in smaller markets than it's in the developed markets abroad.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. So to wrap up this session, I would like to give each of you a minute to give us, a rapid take around your reflections on the session overall, and then obviously enter it in your area of interest. And let me start with you, Fatim. What do you see as therefore the overarching opportunity around, fintech and inclusion for digital technologies?
Okay. For opportunity of inclusion between fintech and the digital solution, I think it's really important to understand today the reach of the mobile network first, and then the mobile money, which also leads us to the fintechs. We really need to understand that even at at every area of the country, we can see people that can easily access GSMA. So that allows them to really have easy access to finance if we really develop those mobile money and fintechs. So it's really important to understand that fintechs can lead to a greater inclusion for every every person, for the whole population, but especially for women and youth, that are really important as a target for us currently. We know that women are really important because they are the backbone of food systems. And some evidence also shows that financing women solutions are more effective. So it's really important to also understand that we have to target women and be sure that every programs include a lens around gender, and that will also lead us to more improved livelihood because women are also the backbone of families. They are not only the backbone of the system, but they are the backbone of the whole society. So it's really important. And regarding funding of youth-led digital agriculture solution, I think it's really important to understand that we need to move behind traditional models. I've heard this before today during the previous sessions, so I'm sure people already understand that we need to work on new products that can help youth to access financing, to access capital, which is really important, because in the development sector, we really tend to give more of small grants that cannot, unfortunately, help them to really scale. It can help them to test the idea, deploy, but to scale, they might need more capital. And as we are really a lot of people, I think Nigeria only is aiming at 500 million people. So we can understand that the findings, the money available for development sector is not enough for everyone. That's why we only have small grants. But it's really important to understand that youth really need to access capital.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much. And Hatman?
Yeah, for me, a couple of thoughts here. First of all, it's about digital capabilities, is also all about customer intimacy and addressing specific customer pain points. Yeah, so it's about really be relevant for your market, for your crop, for your location where you're operating in. And I think it became very clear also with the two startups we heard earlier on. Secondly, it's about rapid scaling and prototyping. So it's about test and learn. Don't assume that you develop your digital capability right from the word go. You will pivot a lot of different directions, and keep the customer in mind. What do you really want to solve for him? Third point is digital is a true team play. So it's about that ecosystem which ultimately kicks in. No? Where, and was mentioned earlier on, it's about digital and physical. You said physical. It's about the last mile, which has to happen in addition to the pure digital capability, which will not work alone. Yeah, and last but not least, and referring back to the theme of the food system forum, where it's about the youth driving the system, the agriculture system transformation, food system transformation. I think in terms of digital, the young entrepreneurs are actually the catalyst. Yeah, so it's even more than just driving the transformation. It's about how can we support the youth, even catalyzing more that acceleration of digital.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much, Hatman, Fatim, for these very excellent insights that you've given us. I'm really humbled to see that indeed digital technologies and AI are helping us not waste a good crisis. As you heard earlier on, most of the young people started out actually in COVID, and they have since come up to, build solutions that are still living the test of time today. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me in thanking with a big round of applause our panel as we invite the final speaker to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
don't envy your role, Dr. Maximo Torero, who's going to wrap up the session. You know, we started up this session with some very big picture conversations around the state of play for digital and AI in countries. We listened to, you know, Nigeria, Rwanda, and a couple of private sector actors around what they are doing in this place, as well as Senegal. And we moved to the young people that are actually daring and building businesses using digitization and AI, and then came back to sector players, industries of champion, that are sharing with us what's happening in this space. And I had words like not first mile or last mile, words like digital intimacy, words like infrastructure not being ready, and policies really developing but not meeting the young people where they are, as well as financing. I would like to hand over to you, Dr. Maximo, to help us bring this together as the Chief Economist and Assistant Director General for the Economic and Social Development of FAO. Where does all this land for you?
No, thank you so much, and good afternoon, good evening to all. This was a long session, but extremely dynamic and interesting, especially the creativity of the young people that are working in finding innovations on digital agriculture and digital using artificial intelligence. So let me summarize the points in 5 big ideas. So the first one is that digital technologies are opening the door for precision farming for smallholders. And that's when they refer to the first mile or the last mile. Basically, what you want to do in the last mile is finding ways in which you can reach this information to farmers in such a way that they understand and they can use it properly. And that could create significant efficiency gains in the farmers, because more information in the current context where we are so vulnerable to climate and to vulnerabilities makes them more resilient to that and also allows them to use their inputs in a better way. So that's, I think, global public goods, but also private goods that can be delivered through different ways of providing information. I was really not surprised, but I was happy to hear that SMEs technologies are super useful, because basically it's a simple, cheaper way to get the information to farmers. The important thing is also to look at the quality of the information. Second is artificial intelligence can power advisory services, and chatbots in local languages are providing real-time information to farmers. And this not necessarily will substitute extension services, it will complement extension services, because our health doctors, extension services people, can have a larger coverage and can use these technologies also to create the bridge with the farmers and to provide the state-of-the-art information based on the work that is being collected for years and from where we are learning. So that second thing, I think, is also extremely important and also will resolve one of the major challenges that we have today on extension. We need to keep innovating. And this chat box, in complement with the extension services, the extension schools, could be extremely useful. The third is that platforms must go beyond productivity to aggregate and optimize market access on both supply and demand side. And this is the platform of e-commerce. And the beauty of the platform of e-commerce, which China has a huge experience on that, and other countries are learning, is how much I will shorten the distance between the producer and the consumer. Of course, that implies that I have a network of connectivity, but I also could have a network of connectivity because mail delivery services will be central. The advantage of China is that they have a significant level of mail delivery services. In most of our countries in Africa and in many other continents, we don't have that in place. But at least we can optimize the routes, and that will allow us to reduce this time difference, and that's where the e-commerce makes a lot of sense, because it will help to reduce transaction costs, and it will help to optimize. And AI quantitative models could help to do that. Not the language models, but the quantitative models could help to do that. Fourth, digitalization can also increase access to critical services that today remain unaffordable. And here I'm referring to financing, microfinance, finance, banking, bancarization, but also to insurance. Today we have a lot of information that will allow us to have better risk scoring systems. In many countries, especially in SMEs, this has been super successful, where basically by entering the digital ID of the client, automatically using very simple tools like using the payment of basic services, allows them to have a risk scoring that will allow them to have access to financing systems. We can scale that up to the rural areas and to the farmers, and that's where AI can play a crucial role. But second, insurance, which is also very important to link insurance to finance, because a bank needs a guarantee that you will pay, and the insurance will give you that guarantee. But insurance today in the world is mostly subsidized. And especially in rural areas, it's extremely expensive. And the reason why it's expensive is because the information is super expensive. We don't have weather stations everywhere like developed countries have. Satellite data is useful, but not perfect, because remote sensing doesn't provide the precision that you need for index insurance, for example. But today, we can massify the amount of use of data, which will allow us to reduce the measurement error on these estimates and will help us to have better triggers for insurance. So I think this could help, these tools could help also to the service delivery, not only to link the farmers, but also to deliver better services to farmers, which is important. Fifth, we need to not forget that there is an extraordinary opportunity. 1.3 billion young people between 15 and 24 years old worldwide are here, are present, and that's the youth that is available. That's our labor supply. So we need to create a match on the labor demand, and that's where agriculture and agri-food systems and digital technologies could make attractive to them by scaling all these services and trying to find ways in which we can link to them. And youth can make the difference. They can serve as the bridge to cover digital literacy gaps, mentoring older farmers, and helping communities to unlock potential of these tools. I remember 20 years ago, we launched a project called Happy Faces, which exactly was using kids in secondary school as a bridge to the parents to translate the information that came through digital technologies, in this case was through computers, so that they can use these technologies in adapting what extensionists couldn't do. Because parents, especially in agriculture, are aging and they don't necessarily know how to read and write. So young people can be this bridge, which is so important. And finally, I think artificial intelligence and digital platforms can bring bridge markets to farmers, linking producers with buyers, improving transparency, traceability, and blockchains could help to do that. And in the global level, FAO, for example, works with the eFITO, and eFITO helps traceability, but we can find ways to do that also to smallholders. Today, one of the major barriers that we have in moving commodities, even within Africa, despite of the African Free Trade Agreement, is food safety issues. And that's where blockchains can play a crucial role to be able to minimize that. So thank you very much for the energy, and I think a lot of lessons learned and a lot to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Dr. Ari, for that good summary. You really covered everything that we were looking at today. And with those very few words, I would like to give another round of applause to our doctor for wrapping this up, Dr. Maximo, and to once again thank our eminent partners across all the three panels for taking the time to share your wisdom, to share your fears, but to also present the opportunities that AI and digitization presents to building inclusive agri-food systems. It's been Aggie from my side, and thank you very much.